So today we're going to talk about page 11 and we're going to do more mole conversions. So you're going to want to have calculator, periodic table, and your mole map that looks like this handy if you have it. So grab those things and then get ready to go. So we're going to start doing the fences like you already know, but we're going to make them a little bit more complicated. We're going to make them bigger. So you know fences that look like this, and it's just one simple fence, but they actually get a little bit more complicated. And so instead of one-step moles, today you're going to learn how to do two steps with those fences. So here's how that works. When you look at this question right here, then you've got mass, it mentions grams, and it wants me to convert those that to liters. So my job is to find the grams and liters island down here on Mole Island. So if you don't have it written, remember that grams lives right here on Mass Island and liters is volume. So notice there's not a direct route that lets me go from grams directly to liters. They're just not connected that way. So what I have to do instead is follow the paths that are there. So I have to start at that gram island, and first I have to convert things to moles. Then from Mole Island, I can go to liters. So because I have to make a stop in the middle, I'm going to do one step here and one step here. So that's what makes this a two-step mole question. And so what your fences are going to look like is instead of having one section, they're going to have two. Everything else that you know about fences is going to stay the same. Like you know to always start with what you're given, the 9.403 grams. And then the only thing I want you to worry about is units. Please don't write numbers because then sometimes we put things in the wrong place. So if I look at my units, you automatically know whatever is up has to go down, right? That's a given. Now, if I peek back at that Mole Island, if I'm on Mass Island right here, the only place that I can go, the only line that connects it is to the Mole Island next, right? Mass is only connected to moles. That mole is the next unit that I'm going to put in my fence right here. So because grams turned into moles, that's the first unit that I put. Now, just like grams was up and then down, now I have moles up and I can put moles down. And remember, from that Mole Island, once we made it there, we wanted to keep going on our journey and get to volume, to Liter Island. That's the unit that you're going to end with, and so your liters will be the final unit. Now that you've put those units in, you guys are really good at the numbers. Like, you automatically know if you've written mole, you're going to put a 1 there. Liters, the number is 22.4, you know that. And if you forgot it, it tells you right here on your mole map that 1 mole equals 22.4 liters. So if you forgot the numbers, they're still on your mole map and you can use that. Where I have grams, I need a number to go there. So if you're not sure, check Mole Islands, and I see grams right here, and it says grams, I need the molar mass for something. Now it told me that my compound was CO2, so we're going to calculate the molar mass, and I'm going to show you that calculation just in case you've kind of forgotten how to do it. It's been a little while. So I have carbon and oxygen in this compound. There's 1 carbon and there's 2 oxygens, just counting how many atoms we have. We're going to multiply those by their masses from the periodic table. So carbon is 12, oxygen is 16. So if I do that math, I have 12 here, 32. Remember, once you've done that, then you're going to add those numbers up, and so my molar mass is 44. That's what goes right there for your molar mass number. Now, the next thing you're going to do is, this is a little bit more complicated written out, so we need to talk about how that goes into your calculator. So remember, from here, the first thing you're going to do is times by that. Then you're going to go down to the bottom, so we times on the top, and then we're going to divide down, right? So that kind of is normal, but now we have this other section we haven't done anything with. So you went here, times on the top, divide down. Go back up to the top and times again. Then you're going to go down and divide. So grab your calculator right now and put that in. So I'm going to say what you're going to type. So you're going to do 9.403 times the 1 on the top divided by 44. Then keep going, times that 22.4 and divided by the 1. So make sure that you've times on the top and divided down. And then we're just going to take our answer and double check our sig fig. So my calculator says 4.6 7, 8, 6, 9, 8, blah, blah, blah. We only want 4 sig figs because that's what we started with. That's going to be right here at that 7. So if you look at the number directly after the 7, oh, I think I typed it wrong in my calculator. Sorry, my calculator says this. That didn't seem right. I apologize. What I really got in my calculator was this. So the 4th sig fig is right here at that 6. Directly after that 6 is a 9, which means this will round up. So we leave the 4.78. Because of that 9, we will write 7. And if you're not sure what unit to put on your answer, it's always the last one that you've got, so liters. All right, so another way that you could do that is if I start with grams again, but this time notice it wants me to turn to particles. And so if you're not sure, the particles for CO2 are molecules, because this is a covalent compound. So let's find those things on our mole map. So I know that I was starting at mass island, and I need to go down here to particle island. Again, there's no direct route to do that, so I have to go from mass to moles. Then I can go from moles to particles. So definitely 2 steps again. So we're going to see if we can set that whole thing up. So start the same, take the number that you're given, 9.403 grams. Whatever unit is up must go down, so grams up, grams down. Now remember, the only thing that's connected to that grams island, I can only go to mole island next. That becomes the next unit in your fences up here. Then you know that whatever is up has to go down. And from that mole island, I made it from mass to moles. I got to keep going. I got to go from moles to particles. Remember, particles can be atoms, they can be formula units, or in this case, they can be the molecules that we want. So that's going to be the final unit that goes here. Now those units make it really easy to put the numbers in. You know that mole always gets a 1. Molecule is the thing that uses Avogadro's number, 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. And grams, it's still CO2, so we're going to use the same molar mass again and just save ourselves from doing that calculation. So let's put this in your calculator. Start with the 9.403. First, you're going to times on the top, and then divide down. Then you're going to times on the top, and divide down. So grab your calculator. I'm going to talk you through putting that in there. So you're going to do 9.403 times the 1 divided by 44 times, when we put Avogadro's number in, we're going to use the E, don't break the oath. You're going to do 6.02 E23 divided by 1. So your calculator is going to say this, 1.2865 something E23. Remember, we need to round it and turn that into human language. So again, 4 sig figs we start with and end with. That's right here at that 6. Leave the 1.28. Directly after that 6 is a 5. That means we need to round our number up to a 7. And this E23, remember, turns into times 10 to the 23rd. Here's the unit. Whoops. Here is the unit for your answer, and we have molecules. All right, so those are 2 examples. We have 4 more possibilities, so we're going to keep going. So next option, look for the units. Those tell you the islands. So here I have liters, and it wants me to convert that to the mass. Remember, mass means grams. So let's find those 2 islands. Gives me liters, and it wants grams. So I'm going to start on liters. First, I'm going to go to mole island, and then I'm going to go up to gram island. So I need 1, 2 steps. So let's set up our 2 fences. Start with the number that they gave you, and so they said 9.403 liters. Now just do your units. I know you just want to rush through and write numbers. Please don't do it my way. So liters up, liters down. Now the next thing you got to figure out is what goes next. So take a look at that liter island right here. The only place that I can go is over here to mole island. That tells you the next unit that you're going to put in your fence. Because I wrote that unit up, I'm then going to write it down. And the last thing that I want to do is, okay, I made it to mole island, I got to keep going, and I want to end up here at the mass gram island. That's the last thing that we put in our fences. The numbers then become easy. You know that 1 always goes with the mole. Liters, the magic number is 22.4. And grams, if you forgot, we need the molar mass again. Save ourselves the time. This is still CO2 from the previous problem, so the molar mass is still 44. So now we're going to put this in our calculator. So you're going to times on the top, then divide down, then go back up. Times on the top, then divide down. So you're going up, down, up, down, up, down, all the way across. So grab your calculator. You're going to do 9.403 times 1 divided by 22.4 times 44 divided by 1. So your calculator is going to say 18.470178 blah blah blah. 4 sig figs. Fourth sig fig is there. So leave the 18.4. Directly after that 7 you have a 0, which means the 7 will stay the same. There's the unit for your answer, so just say grams. Alright, next option. Now I'm going to start at liters and I'm going to try to turn this into particles. Again, the particles for carbon dioxide are molecules. Because it is a covalent compound, that's what uses molecules. So, liters and particles. So, I'm going to start on liters. I can't go directly to particles, so I'm going to go from liters to moles, and then moles down here to particles. That's where the molecules for carbon dioxide live. So 1, 2 steps for our fences. All right, let's set them up. So start with the 9.403 liters. Liters up, liters down. From that liter island, the only place that I can go is to moles. That becomes my next unit. Moles up, moles down. The last thing that I want to do is, okay, I made it to Mole Island. I want to finish my journey. I want to end at molecules. That becomes the last unit that you put in. Now this makes it easy for you to put in your numbers. 1 with the mole. Liters needs 22.4. And molecules, the magic number is Avogadro's number, 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. So now let's take a minute, put this in your calculator. So you're going to do 9.403 times the 1 divided by 22.4 times Avogadro's number, make sure you use the E, and divided by 1. So go ahead and put that in now. And your calculator says 2.527056 blah 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 E23. Double check your sig figs, start with 4, end with 4. That happens right here at that 7. So we're going to leave the 2.52. My option is, do I make it a 7 or an 8? Directly after it I have a 0. That means it can stay the same, leave it a 7. E to the 23 means times 10 to the 23rd. Your units are right here. Molecules is your answer. All right, 4 down, 2 to go. Last option is this time maybe we start with particles. Remember, particles, you've got a couple of different options. Particles might mean atoms. Particles might mean molecules, or particles might mean formula units. They all kind of count the same. So see, in this example, we've got molecules, right? And it wants me to take those molecules and turn them into mass. Remember, mass means grams. So we're going to look at those 2 islands. I've got particles and mass. So particles down here, mass for grams way up here. So 1, 2 steps for my fences. So let's set those up. Start with what they give me. So I have 9.403 times 10 to the 23rd molecules. No naked numbers. Make sure you got your units. Because now I know molecules up, molecules down. From this molecule down here on Particle Island, the only place that I can go is by making this journey to moles. That becomes the next unit that you put here. Moles up then, moles down. So I made it to Mole Island. I want to keep going and I want to get to grams. That becomes the final unit. Now you can put in your numbers. Always 1 with the mole. Grams needs the molar mass. Again, it's the same compound we've been using, so it's the same molar mass of 44. And molecules uses 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. So now we just have to make sure we put this into our calculator. You have two places here where you need to use that E, so make sure that you're not doing your scientific notation incorrectly. So put this in your calculator. You're going to go times on the top, divide down. Times on the top, divide down. So let's see what you get. Go ahead in your calculator. We are going to push 9.403 E23 times that one on the top, divided by Avogadro's number, so divided by 6.02 E23. Then go back up times 44 and divided by 1. So your calculator should say this. If you see anything in your calculator of E46, you did it wrong. Go back and put it in with the E. We do not want that. Okay? Let's take this answer and just round the sig figs that we want is 4. That's right here at the 2. So I'm going to leave 68.7. My option is 2 or 3. See that 6 after it? That means that you have to round it up. So I have to write a 3 there. I was looking for mass, so my unit becomes grams. All right, last one. So we're still going to start with those molecules, but this time I want to turn it into liters. So let's find those islands. I've got molecules down here. And I'm first going to go from molecules to moles, then make the second trip of moles to volume or liter island. So 2 steps. Give myself a little bit more space here. So start with that 9.403 times 10 to the 23rd molecules. Now just do your units. Molecules up, molecules down. From Molecule Island, the only place that I can go is to moles. That's the next unit. That goes right here. Now you know moles up, moles down. The second part of our fence is I'm on Mole Island. I want to finish it by going over here to Liter Island. That becomes the last unit. Now it's pretty easy to put our numbers in. We know that 1 always goes with mole. I know that liters needs a 22.4. And I know that molecules uses Avogadro's number. Now we're going to put this in our calculator. Remember, you're going to times on the top and then divide down. Then go back up, times on the top, and then divide down. So grab your calculator. Let's talk through it. You're going to do 9.403 E23 times 1 divided by 6.02. Oh, I pushed a button wrong. 9.403 E23 times 1 divided by 6.02 E23 times 22.4 divided by 1. So your calculator says this, 34.98790, blah, blah, blah. Again, if you see anything E46, you did it wrong. Go back and do your E correctly. That's not what you want. So we just have to do sig figs here. We've got 4 sig figs. 4th sig fig is right there. So I'm going to leave the 34.9. My option is leave this an 8 or round it up to a 9. Because of the 7 afterwards, you're going to round it up. You were looking for liters, and that becomes your unit right there. So now you've got some decisions to make. You've got some practice problems on the bottom of this page. Here's the problem. You now have to decide, are you going to do the new fancy fences like this? Is that question going to be 2-step? Or are you going to do the old fences like we've already known, we've been doing since the beginning of the year? Is it going to be a 1-step problem? Use mole islands to help you figure this out. If the question should be 2-step and you try to do it in 1, you're going to get the wrong answer. If the question only needs 1 step and you try to do it with 2, you're going to get the wrong answer. So the first thing I want you to decide is 1-step or 2-step. Then go ahead and fill it in. So try some of those questions and then come back and I'll show you the answers. Okay, let's see how you did. So I'm just going to scroll through these answers so that you can compare. I've told you how many steps you should do for each question and the correct numerical answer that you should get. So see how you did. I'll slowly scroll back up to the top one more time. So, how'd you do? If you had any trouble, go ahead, put a star next to that question. See if you can figure it out. Talk to a friend or check out the other video that I've posted. I will walk through the work for every single question here so that we can figure out what you had trouble with.